Hey everyone, it's Saruke, and today I will finally be drawing my BNHA OCs in their hero costumes. And I'm starting out with a little bit of a sketch here, just so I can get my intro in before I actually show you what I started with. So I did these following sketches in my sketchbook a long while ago. They're of my main three, or my first three OCs, Miheal, Titania, and Solar. Miheal was pretty much done. I had even inked her. Titania was a really good clean sketch, but I wasn't really satisfied with Solar. So what little bit you saw at the beginning and what you'll be seeing next is me resketching Solar in a different pose and just changing it up a bit. I also noticed that they were all facing the same way, so I flipped Titania over and that way created a little bit of a different look to the entire thing. I was thinking about just lining them up like I did last time, and if you don't know about last time, 2 years ago now, almost, I posted a video where I drew these three characters in their school uniforms, or in the UA school uniform. And that video has been quite, not popular per se, but I keep getting comments on it where people tell me about their own OCs, and it's really interesting to read because everyone has such unique ideas. It's really cool to see what people come up with, and I've just really enjoyed that video so much because there just keeps coming more and more feedback on it, and like people coming in and commenting about their own OCs, and it's just so inspiring. So long overdue, but here is part 2 to this thing. There have actually been at least one person commenting saying I should draw these characters again, but in their hero costumes. And I swear I tried last year. I really wanted to do it last year, but I just didn't feel like I had a very good idea of what I wanted them to look like. Especially Miheal, I was so unsure about her outfit, and I can actually drop in here and show you what her previous hero costume looked like. Hold on. Okay, here she is. This was Miharu's first hero costume, and it was very bland. It was like a black bodysuit with a white apron. The belt and the leg wraps were sort of beige, off-white colored. It was just a very boring costume, and the beak plus goggles thing just didn't quite work. I wanted it for intimidation because she's not really an offensive character, so she needed to look intimidating. I've since retconned that and given her a completely new outfit, which you'll see me color and whatnot. Also, here is what the final sort of sketch layer looked like before I started on the ink. Now, I have issues inking digitally. I just find it incredibly tedious and boring, and the minute I knew I had to start inking, I was just like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So I printed the sketch out and lined it traditionally instead, using my light table, and that helped me a lot. As I talk about these characters, I'm probably going to go back and forth between their hero names and their real names, so I just want to point one thing out first. Miheal, the girl I'm inking right now, was called Misaki in my previous video from 2 years ago. That was a mistake because I had gone through a lot of Mi names, and I had actually landed on Miharu for her first name, but for some reason in that video I had completely forgotten that and named her Misaki. Her name is actually Miharu, and her hero name is Miheal. So I retconned that really quickly outside of YouTube, but on YouTube I don't think I ever addressed the fact that I named her wrong. So if that video is your only reference for her, then that name is wrong. But yeah, Miharu is Miheal. Girl in the middle that I'm inking now is Elizabeth Martens, and her hero name is Titania. And then the only boy in this trio is Solar or Cole. But yeah, so those are their names. Now, since it's been a while, how about we do some recap on these characters? This might actually be the first video you watch about them, so you might not even know what their quirks are. Okay, so if I start with Cole, he has a quirk called Photon Manipulation, and he calls himself Solar because it's sun-related. Very uncreative of me. He can absorb solar energy, store it, and then use it, and he uses it by shaping it into various objects. His main focus has been to learn how to create panels, hexagonal panels, and he makes those panels into a shield. That is sort of his basic understanding of his quirk. Later, when he gets older, as he trains at the academy, he learns how to shape other objects like weapons and things like that. But his main focus is a protective shield that he can make smaller or bigger. He can draw solar energy directly from the sun and use that. Instead of using the energy he has stored up, you can see he has sort of these orbs running along his spine. Those are sort of the storage points. And when he has a high amount of solar energy in his body, which is most of the time, his veins actually glow through his skin. And you'll see that once I've colored him, what that looks like. Pros of his quirk is that he can store the solar energy and use it later. He always has a very nice tan, and he is always very warm to touch. Cons, though, is that when he runs low on solar energy, he actually becomes really lethargic. And it also takes time to store up that solar energy. So during winter, he has it very difficult. And also, his quirk requires a lot of concentration. So he has to spend a lot of time actually focusing on what he is creating using the solar energy. And cool in general is he's a really nice boy. He tries to act cool, but he's really just a very nice boy. The inking is now finished. This is a good introduction. This is what it looked like when I scanned it, and once I'd scanned it, I put it into Sai again and then started coloring it. So let's go for Elizabeth next. She is Elizabeth Martens, and her hero name is Titania. Her quirk is pheromones, and it is what it sounds like. Her body, she exudes pheromones. I wasn't quite sure of her quirk when I first made her, so I've actually fleshed that out quite a bit now since then. She has 5 types of pheromones. Good vibes, bad vibes, bliss, fear, and rage. Bliss, fear, and rage are mostly controlled by her emotions, so if she's happy, she might exude bliss pheromones if she's not careful. She can sort of control that. Same goes with fear and rage. If she's angry or scared, she might exude those, and that affects the people in her surrounding area. Good vibes and bad vibes are attract and repulse pheromones, so basically if she spreads those pheromones in an area, it will either attract or repulse people from that space. Pros of her quirk is that she has good crowd control, and it requires very little energy. She also smells really nice. Cons of her quirk is that it relies a lot on weather conditions. The dragonfly wings you see on the back of her sort of hero outfit design are actually used to direct. They sort of flutter, and she can direct which direction she wants to send her pheromones. So that's a little bit of a help she has to control them, but again, weather conditions matter a lot for her quirk to be as effective as it can be. But because of these cons, she has also become a very strategic and very intelligent person in general. So she knows how to use her quirk to the best of her abilities, and how to make it the most effective that it can be. Also, I just want to lift, I did get one comment on the last video saying that Elizabeth can't be a hero because she's not fit. They commented on her body type not being ideal for a hero, and I think that's wrong and unnecessary because I think fat people can be heroes too. And there's a very big difference between being lean and being fit. You can be lean and fit. You can also be fat and fit, because fit means to be healthy. So just a small tangent. Fat people can be heroes too. One more thing about Elizabeth in general, she is actually a German exchange student. I think I mentioned that she was a transfer or exchange student in the last video, but she is an exchange student from Europe. She goes to the top European school for heroes or whatever, and she is just over at UA for like a semester to see how they do things. So yes, she is an exchange student from Germany. Now, lastly, on to the mess that is Miharu, or Miheal. I retconned her quirk, or quirks actually. When I first created her a couple of years ago, she had 2 quirks because I couldn't really find a way to fuse them properly. I have now found a way, and she has a quirk, and I even wrote it into her backstory. In my universe, or in my Hero Academia universe, having no quirks and having 2 quirks is kind of similar. I mean, why can you be without quirks but not be able to have 2? That just seems odd to me. So in my universe, there is a possibility to have more than one quirk, which is why it wasn't odd for her to have two. Just like everybody else, she showed off her quirk first when she was like 3-4 years old, and that was her healing quirk. And then later when she was like 10-11, they also discovered that she had ridiculously high endurance or ridiculously high stamina. She could run forever without being tired, or getting tired, I should say. And for a very long time, they thought she had two quirks. Then during her second year at UA, maybe I should explain her quirks. She has a healing quirk, which allows her to heal people using touch. The second quirk, in quotation marks, was high endurance, which was high stamina. She used her own stamina to heal people, which was why this was a very useful thing for her. So during second year at UA, she ran very low on stamina, which doesn't happen often to her. And this was during a battle of some sort. She then activated a new ability. The green rings she usually has around her wrists when healing turned red, and she started draining stamina from her opponent. This caused them to realize she doesn't have two quirks. She actually has one where her high endurance is just a pro of that quirk. Her parents, one has the healing quirk and one has the endurance quirk, which is also why they thought maybe she has two separate ones. But in the end, the high endurance is just a pro of her base healing quirk. So, her quirk is now named Supported Regeneration because she uses her stamina to support the person who needs the healing. Pros of her quirk is that she sleeps about half as much as a regular person does. She has ridiculously high stamina. Her healing is fairly fast acting. She can heal flesh wounds very quickly. And, as I said, it uses her stamina instead of that of the injured person's. She does have quite a lot of cons, though. Her high endurance causes her a lot of anxiety and restlessness, so she runs a lot to combat that. She needs to eat a lot because she has a higher metabolism or faster metabolism than most people. She can't heal herself. She has to touch a person to heal them. That is very important. She can't heal illness, and broken bones are also very, very hard for her to heal. I hope that wasn't too confusing. It probably was. I am terribly sorry. Now I just want to interject with what I'm doing on screen. I'm actually drawing in the veins on Cool Solar, so you can see what that looks like. So when he has a high amount of solar energy stored up, photon energy, I'm going to say that wrong several times, his veins glow, as I said, like this. And I really like how that turned out. I think he would be a very cool character to draw in like low light or dark atmospheres. Just in general, he would look super cool. I did this a while ago. If Cole should get injured and start to bleed, his blood will actually glow because photon energy is stored in his blood. So he would bleed liquid gold, basically. So this is basically done. I'm just adding a bit of shadow to the background and writing down their names. I did realize that Miharu or Miheal looked kind of boring in comparison to the other two because Titania has such a dynamic pose and super colorful, and then there's Cole with his gems. So I wanted to add her healing rings. Despite the fact that she basically, well, she only activates them when she needs to use them. That's one thing I changed about her design. She has ridges instead of those glowy green things she had on her hands from the beginning. She still has the circle with a dot on her palm, but it's more of a ridge now rather than like actual green glowy paint. So that's the thing I changed about her design. Anyway, that's that. They're finished. Here's what it looks like. I did give Titania some face paint, and I kind of want to give some to Solar too, but we'll see about that. One part of Miheal's outfit I didn't draw was her gas mask. I still wanted her to have a mask, so I gave her a gas mask just to make her look that little bit of extra intimidating because she is not particularly offensively oriented as a hero. But anyway, if you have Hero Academia OCs, share them down below. I'd love to read about them and their quirks. If you've shared before, share again. Maybe you've made some changes. Maybe you've made some new ones. I'd love to read about them because that is like the best part about that previous video was to get to read all of those comments about other people's OCs. You guys are so creative, so great. Until next time, keep on scribbling, friends. Bye!